It's been 2 weeks since the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity demo shadow dropped on the eShop like Impa on a horde of bokoblins, but instead of satiating my appetite, it has only made me crave it more. I need to see what happened 100 years ago before Breath of the Wild that led to Hyrule's demise and Calamity Ganon's return. And based on the demos and trailers, there is much more to this prequel spin-off than meets the eye. The two characters building the most buzz, however, are the Baby Guardian, aka the Egg, and the hooded figure. Piecing together out the truth behind these two mysterious entities will for sure be a key plot point in Age of Calamity's story. As I was preparing my ideas and theories on these two figures for last week, Nintendo released the demo, to both my excitement and dismay, revealing some incredibly juicy and frankly unexpected plot points in just the first few minutes. Of course, I had to rewrite my script to account for the vital info revealed in the demo, resulting in 2 Age of Calamity videos, the first one being released 2 weeks ago, focusing on whether or not Age of Calamity would be canon. Please check that out if you haven't already. This video is more of a deep dive, where I analyze the trailers and demo with a focus on the egg and the hooded figure. Who knows, there might even be a relation between the two. To uncover the secrets behind these mysterious figures, let's take our second Age of Calamity deep dive, where we dig up clues and theories from the latest trailers, and in this case, demo. Before we get started, be aware that I will be covering the demo in detail, so if you are avoiding demo spoilers, leave now or forever hold your peace. Not sure why you're here in the first place, but thank you for your willingness to watch anyway. However, I won't be covering the recent demo data mine, as I feel that would ruin the fun of the speculation. If I do say something that is contrary to that data mine, please forgive my naive and ignorant self. And with that out of the way, get your diving gear ready. We're going deep. Who knew this cute little baby guardian would be the source of so much confusion? I certainly didn't. I knew the egg would play an important role story-wise, but never did I imagine that it would travel through time. But here we are, potentially dealing with alternate timelines, which could work if handled well. Here's my question though. Why? Why does the egg travel through time? Allow me to give a few theories. First, let's analyze this opening cutscene, taking place right as Zelda awakens her goddess powers, a scene we should know fairly well from Breath of the Wild. As Calamity Ganon and the Guardians run amok, a box in Zelda's study falls from the top shelf, slightly opening the lid, revealing the Egg Guardian inside. We then jumped at Zelda protecting Link from a rogue Guardian, activating her powers and causing an explosion of light to surround the area, which matches up with the main game, deactivating or purifying all the Guardians in the surrounding area. We also see what appears to be a pillar of light reaching towards the heavens and can be seen from all the way to Hyrule Castle. After a brief pause, a similar light shines in Zelda's study, supposedly activating the baby Guardian. This right here is clue number 1. Whatever this Guardian turns out to be, it was activated thanks to Zelda's goddess powers. Does that mean it could only activate if Zelda used her powers? Or does it imply some sort of Triforce wish magic going on? Either one could be a viable answer. Although, the Triforce didn't play much of a role in the original Breath of the Wild, aside from symbology and it being associated with Zelda's powers, so I'm not certain we can say for sure this is Zelda's Triforce wish. But again, it wouldn't be out of the question for the series. Either way, the egg awakens at the beckon of Zelda's powers and gets a feel for its surrounding. Hyrule Castle. Just the way I remember it. Upon seeing the decimated castle, the egg apparently remembers the words of Zelda, "I must protect everyone." While brief, this message is very important because it either implies the egg saw this moment or somehow has the image in its memory. This shot was also at the end of the Age of Calamity reveal trailer, but with one slight difference. The scene in the demo is zoomed in, hiding Zelda's eyes but showing her mouth, while the one in the trailer is a wider shot showing Zelda's eyes, and probably at a higher viewpoint. This difference could mean a couple things. One, the scene in the trailer might be a cutscene that happens later on in the game, giving hope for a tragic ending. Wow, you're so edgy. And 2, the scene in the demo with just the mouth looks like it could be the perspective of the Egg Guardian, where the trailer version is at eye level. Then again, this could just be a stylistic choice. Now, I always thought this scene was Zelda sealing Calamity Ganon as she waits for Link to return from his nap. But how does that make any sense when the egg wakes up and jumps to the past before Zelda gets back to Hyrule Castle? she also has to return the Master Sword to Korok Forest at some point, unless she's able to take a break from sealing Ganon.
Oh no, Zelda, I'm gonna destroy Hyrule again.
I'm on my lunch break! Somehow the egg has memories of this moment, or at least acts like it remembers what Zelda said, as it nods knowingly what must be done to save everyone. At this point, it's difficult to say for sure how the egg knows or what this clip means, but I'm certain there will be some time-traveling shenanigans involved in some way. Before I get to theories about the time-traveling part, let's finish looking over this opening scene. First off, the baby guardian waking up to start the game is very reminiscent of the hero Link waking up to start his adventure, usually at the beck and call of Zelda. A neat little Easter egg. Oh my gosh, the puns just write themselves. Moving on, after the egg accepts its mission, it uses its little communication device to sing a tune, supposedly opening a time-traveling portal. My first thought was that this tune could be a reference to the Song of Time featured in Ocarina of Time, and in the theme of the Temple of Time. Unfortunately, the tunes are too different, even with some similarities. However, we can hear this Guardian jingle in the main theme and the opening music for Age of Calamity. Implying that the tune is either the theme for the main egg or the theme for the main game entirely. It also could mean that time traveling is a key component of Age of Calamity. Personally, I think it's a little of all those things, but I do think this jingle activates the egg's time traveling portal. That said, if someone with more musical knowledge knows of a song in Zelda that matches this baby guardian jingle, please let me know. Speaking of the portal, the color and shape reminds me of the Gate of Time from Skyward Sword, albeit without the gears and symbols. However, we can see the ancient Sheikah text in the portal.
My ancient Sheikah is a little rusty, but I was able to translate a bit of it.
Gate of Time. I think there's another word somewhere, but I don't know where. I guess that's not surprising, but it means the Sheikah were able to control time travel and the Gate of Time with their technology. Keep that in mind for later. To finish the trailer, a possessed Big Daddy Guardian attempts to destroy the egg and fires its powerful laser out the window. The baby Guardian pulls off its best Matrix impression, dodging the beam and somehow rocket blasting itself through the portal. Desperately, the malice from the possessed Guardian moves quickly through the room, trying to reach the egg, but it's too late. More on this later. We next see the egg in the past, deactivated, but then turns on thanks to the Sheikah Slate, basically confirming that Zelda's power isn't the only thing that can activate it. After the end of the first battle, the egg dashes towards Hyrule Castle on a quest to find the princess. For whatever reason, the egg is very attached to Zelda, whether it be because of the goddess powers that activate it or the origins of the egg. Or maybe it just knows best girl when it sees her.
What a simp.
What we do know, according to the narrator, is that the egg's mission is to save Princess Zelda. So knowing all this, why does the egg exist in the first place? For starters, we know the egg is a piece of ancient Sheikah technology, harnessing the power of time travel. But why was it in a box in Zelda's study? There is the possibility that this was one of the Queen's possessions before she passed away, potentially explaining the egg's desire to save the princess. But Zelda doesn't seem to recognize the tiny guardian when it appears, so she doesn't know about the box at the very least. Another possibility involves some time-traveling shenanigans, so bear with me as I explain it. We know the egg starts off its journey in Zelda's study, right? What if Zelda put the egg there after it deactivates in the past, thus introducing a time loop for the egg? It could also be that two versions of the same egg guardian exist at the same time, meaning the egg travels through time to see its past self. To put it simply, the future egg jumps into the portal to save Zelda. It follows Team Hyrule around Hyrule, Zelda comes across the present egg, it grows attached to her, but then somehow deactivates and is stored in Zelda's study, eventually reawakening to become the future egg. Meanwhile, the future egg saves Zelda's life somehow and is destroyed in the process, ending its time-traveling adventures.
Whoa, slow down. You actually expect people to believe that mess?
Maybe? I don't know. Time traveling rarely never gets messy, especially in Zelda. However, there is some evidence to back up the 2A claim. Before the awkward but equally fantastic cutscene with Robbie and Puda, we see a mysterious guardian spying on Zelda and company entering the research lab. I think it's safe to say this is another egg guardian, but clearly possessed by Calamity Ganon, or at the very least, programmed for evil. It's even the black model. Here at Shikatech, we are proud to announce the brand new Egg Guardian model, now available in 4 new colors: Kuko White, Calamity Ganon, Champion Blue, and Blood Moon Crimson.
It's the same as last year.
Now, I have no idea if this particular Guardian is black because it's possessed, or if it's just painted black, but either way, this confirms 2 Egg Guardians. What if during their adventures, Zelda befriends the evil Guardian, and it joins Team Hyrule for a chapter or 2 before deactivating? Zelda then puts it in a box in her study for later, and the cycle goes on from there. Of course, there are some issues with that theory. For starters, the egg is black, not white. Does the egg change colors when no longer possessed? Maybe it's one of those color-changing pencils from grade school. The next issue is, this theory doesn't explain why the egg can see a vision of Zelda supposedly sealing Ganon. But even then, this scene shouldn't be until later. Perhaps there is a string of time-traveling nonsense that I'm just not aware about, where the egg did at one point see Zelda temporarily seal Ganon, but kept failing to protect her. But I have no proof of that. One last theory about the evil egg. Remember how Calamity Ganon's malice chases after the future egg? What if it successfully entered the portal to the past and is somehow chasing after the good egg? Not sure where it got the black egg from, but it could explain why the Guardian goes berserk in part 2 of chapter 1. Needless to say, the egg is key to understanding the plot of Age of Calamity. But could there be a connection between the mysterious hooded figure? Speaking of, let's shift gears and discuss one of the biggest mysteries going into the November 20th release, the hooded figure who is supposedly leading the Yiga clan. Who this turns out to be could make a strong case for Age of Calamity's legitimacy as a canon prequel. Editor's note, we've finally seen the hooded figure's face in some pre-release footage, but we still don't know who they are, so keep that in mind as I give my thoughts. A lot of prevailing theories floating around the internet right now think this could be Yuga, Vati, Aghanim, if I pronounce that correctly, Minna, or even the reincarnation of Tingle. Oh no, he's hot! Tingle, have you been working out? But my first thought was none other than Twin Rova. Wow, and I thought my Tingle theory was sketchy. It might sound ridiculous considering we don't see Twin Rova's signature curves from this hooded figure, but hear me out. As I'm sure you've already noticed, there's a huge Gerudo symbol on the back of the hooded figure, implying some connection to the Gerudo. However, what if this symbol is not meant for the Gerudo tribe, but the followers of Ganondorf? There's some squiggly line business happening below the Gerudo crest. Perhaps this represents Calamity Ganon's malice in some way? This part here also reminds me of the famous Sheikah teardrop. Perhaps there is some sort of connection there, either between the Sheikah of ancient time and the followers of Ganondorf, or maybe the teardrop represents their sorrow for Ganondorf's death. Or it could just be a squiggly line. Wow, I feel like a scholar trying to read hieroglyphics. To me, this confirms the hooded figure isn't Yuga, Vati, or Minna, since none of them have ties to Gerudo, unless they decide to change that in Breath of the Wild lore, which they could do, I guess, but I don't think it's very likely. That leaves only a few options regarding notable Gerudo. In their left hand, the hooded figure is holding a spherical object. At first glance, I thought it was a staff with an orb at the top, but there is clearly no stick below the spear. My next thought was, could it be a Guardian core? Maybe, but it's a different design than the ancient cores we find in the original Breath of the Wild, so I kind of find that unlikely. However, the pinkish glow coming from the middle does remind me of the malice that controls Guardians once Calamity Ganon is resurrected. Perhaps the hooded figure uses this sphere to manipulate the Guardians before Calamity Ganon's return? One last thought about the sphere, the way it levitates and spins reminds me of a time-traveling device for some reason. I have no proof to back this up, but if this person is a Ganondorf follower from the past, maybe they time-traveled. You must be desperate if that's the best idea you can come up with. That said, it could be a piece of lost missing Sheikah technology, tying the hooded figure to both Gerudo and Sheikah tribes. Don't know why the Sheikah wouldn't use time traveling if they had it, but hey, maybe they were scared of it, I don't know. And now that we know time travel is possible thanks to our little egg friend, this theory isn't as far-fetched as I originally thought. So is it possible this core is controlling the evil egg somehow, and the hooded figure used the egg to time travel? I don't know, brah! If other people out there with greater Zelda knowledge than me have pinpointed what exactly this object is, please let me know. I can't figure it out. Looking at their clothes, we see the robes are torn at the cape and leg area, but they also wear what looks like fine jewelry, similar to Riju's jewelry in Breath of the Wild, which also means it looks similar to Ganondorf in the teaser for Breath of the Wild. In case you still weren't convinced that this person is related to the Gerudo in some way, are you convinced now? Honestly, that was my main reason for thinking it's Twinrova. She's really the only known true Gerudo villain besides the Demon King himself. Twinrova has always been Ganondorf's biggest supporter, since her two halves, Kome and Kotake, acted as Ganondorf's surrogate mothers in Ocarina of Time. To me, it makes sense that she would be the one pulling the strings in the background, reviving her son or king or whatever she sees him as. Unfortunately, there really hasn't been any proof within Breath of the Wild to prove this. No evidence of twin witches or a Gerudo sorcerer. However, we do know the existence of one fortune teller. For those of you who are out of the loop, a popular theory floating around the fanbase involves the fortune teller mentioned in the Creating a Champion art book. First off, I highly recommend you find a copy if you are a Breath of the Wild fan. The art and lore building in this book is phenomenal. But besides the art, there's also insight into the fortune teller who foretold the return of Calamity Ganon and was briefly mentioned by both Zelda and King Roam in their journals in Breath of the Wild. You see, up until the reign of King Roam and the birth of Princess Zelda, Calamity Ganon had become nothing more than a fairy tale. 10,000 years had passed since the last Calamity Ganon attack, where the princess, the hero, and the four champions defeated the beast along with an army of guardians. And the present-day people of Hyrule forgot to fear the gassy Ganon. It wasn't until a fortune teller trusted by King Roam foretold the return of Calamity Ganon and the existence of the divine beasts that the king took the threat of Calamity Ganon seriously, pouring all of his efforts and resources into preparing for Ganon's return. Now, one could argue that digging out the Guardians and preparing for Calamity Ganon led to its return, and even the destruction of Hyrule, putting the fortune teller's true intentions into question. If it wasn't for the fortune teller, then Calamity Ganon may have never revived, or at least never destroyed Hyrule. Then again, we can never know for sure. Either way, this is the basis for the hooded figure fortune teller theory. The fortune teller was working for the forces of evil, manipulating the king to uncover the Guardians in order for Calamity Ganon to use them. Some theorists go as far as to say the fortune teller was possessed by Calamity Ganon after seeing the future or something, but I have no idea where that idea is coming from. Nothing in the game or art books suggests this, other than the ironic twist that Calamity Ganon used the Guardians to destroy Hyrule. Maybe there is something out there that hints at this, but I couldn't find it. Feel free to push me in the right direction. Unfortunately, the identity of the fortune teller is never revealed, whether in-game or in the art book. However, the book theorizes that whoever the fortune teller was, they had to have been a trusted ally to the kingdom, and not some traveling stranger. The book even suggests the queen could have been the one who foretold the return of Ganon, since she had powers similar to Princess Zelda. Although, I have a hard time believing that particular theory. If it was the queen, why do King Roam and Zelda hide that fact behind the fortune teller title? Why not say it was the queen, especially when writing in their private journals? Who are they trying to protect? She's dead, isn't she? It doesn't make sense to me. That said, it would be a cruel twist of fate if the hooded figure turned out to be Zelda's mom. Probably too dark for a Zelda game. So if it's not Zelda's mom, who else uses magic to foresee the future? Not too many options in Breath of the Wild, hence my reasoning behind Twinrova. She's a magic-wielding Gerudo who has always supported Ganondorf, even if she is a fusion of two people. But again, we have no indication she was in Breath of the Wild, let alone a fortune teller, so my theory on her is not a strong one. Besides, with this screenshot here, the hooded figure's face is definitely more masculine than feminine, so this being Zelda's mom would be quite shocking. I guess I could see Twinrova, but it's not likely at this point. After doing my own research, I'm not convinced this hooded figure is the fortune teller. If the fortune teller was evil from the get-go, they would have had to fool King Roam for years before hatching their plan. Granted, it's possible, but maybe not likely with how protective and cautious King Roam seemed to be. While I'm not convinced it was the Queen who foretold Ganon's return, it would be nice to finally get confirmation about who foretold the calamity, whether good or evil. Just watch, now that I said that, the hooded figure will actually be the fortune teller. Just to spite me! In all likelihood, this hooded figure isn't Twinrova or the fortune teller, but a new character especially made for Age of Calamity to pull the strings in the background. Whoever they are, they must have strong ties to Gerudo royalty, whether a male Gerudo born within 100 years, a crazy female Gerudo ensnared by Ganon's malice, or an immortal ally of Ganon reviving their master from the shadows. Or maybe some guy named Carl. Hi, I'm Carl. Finally, let's talk about a small but puzzling change to this famous art from Breath of the Wild. Not only does Age of Calamity add the Egg Guardian into this art, it also doubles the champions for each divine beast. What could be the reason for that? The simplest reason could be that this new tapestry includes both the attack from 10,000 years ago and the return of Calamity Ganon 100 years before Age of Calamity, implying that the egg successfully saves Hyrule at the end of Age of Calamity, creating an alternative timeline. For those who want to see a happy ending, I'm sure this is great news. But for those who prayed the Breath of the Wild continuity wouldn't be muddled, this is a little worrisome. Of course, we can't know for sure what a good ending will do for the story, but I can't see that kind of ending fitting well with Breath of the Wild's narrative. That said, I'm willing to see what they have in store for us. I'll keep an open mind. On the other hand, what if the double champions implies two endings for Age of Calamity? A good alternative ending and a bad canon ending. That way you can please both crowds and offer a new perspective on the narrative. Personally, I would like that the most because not only do players get to choose which ending they want, but they can experience both the good and the bad. Is it wrong to want to see both joy and despair?
Take it easy, it's just a video game.
Another more ridiculous theory involves time traveling, messing up continuity even more, but let's just say it for fun. Could there be a section in the game where the modern-day champions are brought to the past, like Sidon, Biju, Teba, and this crybaby with a name I can never pronounce right? Again, that would mess up Breath of the Wild story a fair amount, but it's not out of the realm of possibility for a Hyrule Warriors game. Of those three theories, I think the first one is the most likely, with the art updating to include the recent defeat of Calamity Ganon. But I would love to see the second theory, two endings to the story. Whoever the egg or the hooded figure turn out to be, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is shaping up to be a surprisingly lore-rich and exciting spin-off prequel to Breath of the Wild. The more I see, the more hyped I get! It's nice to have something this hype-inducing in 2020, even if it is a Musou crossover game. Thankfully, we only have a week to wait and see for ourselves if the hype was worth it. Nintendo would be foolish to not capitalize on the best-selling Zelda game in series history, and one of the biggest games on the Switch. To have both a sequel and a prequel in the works is a no-brainer for them. As a filthy Nintendo Zelda fanboy, I am itching to hand over my wallet to soak up more of that magical world. Something about that kind of sounded gross. Maybe the soaking up part. Can I redo that?
Nope, too late. Thank you so much for watching. What are your thoughts on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity? Who do you think the egg and the hooded figure will turn out to be? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, and please subscribe for more Zelda goodness. We'll definitely have more Age of Calamity videos as time goes on, so look forward to that. We'll also return to Waifu Battle Royale eventually with Hilda versus Bernadetta, so don't miss that. Goodbye, you good people.